So we've covered the first two in our list here, things that are going to shift the supply curve. And these relate to the cost of production, the cost of inputs to production, as well as the technology used to produce the good. Now, one thing that kind of goes along similar to the fast computer chip here, if I go back to our sheet of paper. So one thing that also factors in here is the productivity of workers. Right? So over time, so as college attainment has increased, for example, workers have become more and more productive. So if there's a particular, say, training program that increases the productivity of workers, that's going to shift supply to the right. So productivity increases, supply is going to increase or shift to the right. So supply 1, we're moving to the right to supply 2, a rightward shift of supply. Okay, so now let's come back to our next one, which is actually very straightforward, that several new firms enter the market. Okay, well, we know how market supply is derived from the individual supply curves, and so a new firm is going to increase the market supply. So new firms implies that supply is going to increase or shift to the right. Supply 1, supply 2. Those are new firms entering the market. And vice versa, right? If firms leave, then the market supply is going to go down, simply because market supply is the addition of the individual firm supply curves. New firm, more supply. One firm leaves, we have less supply. So the firm leaving, firms leave. We go left, firms enter, and we go to the right. Very simple. Okay, so the next one that we have is really the last one dealing with shifts, is that our beliefs about future prices. So in this example, Apple believes that smartphones will sell for a higher price in 1 year from today. What's going to happen to the supply of smartphones today? Okay, well, let's think that through. So Apple believes the iPhone will sell for a higher price in 1 year. What happens to supply today? Okay, well, when would you rather sell the good? Would you rather sell it at a higher price or a lower price? Personally, all else the same, I would prefer as a seller to sell it at the higher price. So what we need to remember here, and this one is not so much affecting the marginal cost per se, it's just affecting the marginal revenue today versus tomorrow. Okay, so the higher price in the future means I would rather sell it then. So that's going to decrease supply today. I'm not willing to sell as many units today at the current price because I'd rather wait and sell it in the future at the higher price. So supply is going to decrease. And vice versa, right? If I expect the price to get lower in the future, supply is going to increase today. So this is me expecting price to increase in the future, which is why I don't want to supply it today. Okay, and then vice versa. If I expect the price to decrease in the future, supply will increase today. Okay, so that's pretty much everything that shifts the supply curve. So this last one that I had in there is really a trick question. So what happens to the supply of smartphones when the price of a smartphone increases? Nothing. We move along the curve. Move along curve. No shift. Right, and you'll see that's really important distinction to make when we put this together in equilibrium, not to get ourselves into kind of a circular logic, misunderstanding changes in price for movements along versus a shift in the curve. Okay, so this will take some practice, and there's some homework questions that ask you how this might shift the supply curve or the demand curve in the previous material. And so with enough practice, we'll get the intuition for how these models work. All right, so that is it for this learning objective, and we'll put this together and be off and running to answer some interesting questions.